You're listening to the Unshamed podcast. We talk about important topics that are culturally taboo when it comes to the female body, mind, and soul. We want to break down shame that surrounds these topics so that women can be empowered in their everyday lives. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this with your friends.
Well, welcome back to the Unshamed podcast. We are sponsored by Zoe Community. That's a way for women to interact with others in a critical environment about crisis pregnancy. And one of our big things is exploring the way shame is kind of toxic in our culture and having conversations about that. So that's the Unshamed podcast. That's what we're about. This episode is the third in a series with Heather Moore, so welcome back, Heather. And we're talking about shame in the female body specifically. And it's interesting, this episode, for one bit, we're going to talk at the beginning about shame and men and resources for you guys out there and things that you might want to take note of when it comes to shame. We're also going to be talking about how to deal with shame when it's outside of your control, kind of. It's not outside of your control, but it's external. It's coming at you. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about those two things. But the first thing, Heather, what would you recommend, just a couple of things that people, that guys could do if they're experiencing shame in their lives, and maybe how shame might be specific to men and really not to women?
I mean, I'm conscious we're talking about women and femininity, but of course, and how it impacts men, men who come in who have been domestically abused by their other, men who have been sexually abused as children, or even just there is this shame around sexual performance, you know, in their relationships, providing for their families. So, and how it impacts them and how it comes out in their lives and how the self-destruct button will be manifested. So there may be, and this is so general, you know, you need a whole,
but this is a good, like, starting off point to explore more in therapy and, you know,
it's, men as well have been silenced, and I can't, you know, I mean, look at the gender socialization. You know, big boys don't cry.
Yeah.
So I can't talk about my sadness. So there can be a tendency to withdraw, retreat from their other, and I don't know what's going on with him. Because men haven't been assisted, no one has come alongside them to help regulate and help make sense of their fear, their terror, their humanity. It's like, you know, suck it up and big balls and alpha male and hey, my big swinging dick. And my sexual performance and what if I'm just a regular guy? What am I just a human being? Where is the safety for me? Right. And is that like, what I'm expected to be sensitive? I'm expected to be all things to you. So there's a high expectation, and there's still in Ireland. There's still that big boys don't cry. Yeah. Don't be such a pussy. And that has to be dissolved. Yeah. It's not okay. And it's happening in the next generation as well. So I feel that men's vulnerability is very much silenced in Ireland. I don't know what, you know, what's like in America, or
it's kind
of
the same. It's like, you know, funneling all masculinity down this one road. Yeah. Where to be a man, you have to fit into this exact mold. Yeah,
it's definitely that male patriarchal kind of.
Which, like,
you know,
it's great to be a guy and to be like strong and fit every stereotype. You know, that's fine. But like. It's okay also to cry or to do something that's not on track for manhood. You can be a confident man and still and be, you know, different, or be and cry and express yourself and find and have a safe place, have people to talk to. You know?
Or, you know, where do I go to talk about my porn addiction, especially in a church situation?
Oh my gosh,
like, and you know, all that stuff gets
it gets buried.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of guys out there who suffer from a porn addiction, but they feel like they have no one to talk to because they'll be shamed about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I think, again, a good, safe therapist who is not just do your homework on that. Or even just another person in your life who you can spend time safely with, who is not going to shame, judge, who can meet you in that place, to start breaking those taboos and stigmas down.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's been the theme of this.
Yeah.
Is like, do your homework. You know, like don't pick the first person you find on Google.
No.
You know. Yeah. Speaking of
it's
which,
so liberating. It's so liberating when you actually.
Yeah.
You know, because with men this week, and for them to be met in their place, it's so regulating. It's so it's like humanity touching another. It's like the human encounter.
Yeah.
That because Babette Rothschild, who I mentioned as a resource, I'd mention her. She's a trauma expert. You know, shame. You can't like go to the gym. You can't run shame out of your body. You can't do your
what do you call it?
What do you call those things?
I don't know.
Those
I don't know what those are.
tricep dips or those pull-ups.
Pull-ups. Yeah.
Really good for when you're
I'm not an athlete.
hyper-arousal. Really good for hyper-arousal. Really good for fight-flight response. But with shame, it's that collapse, flop, retreat. So it is the gaze, that encounter, because the gaze can shame. And it's the gaze, it's the voice, it's the body regulation of another that really dissolves shame in our bodies. It's the encounter. I mean, just like, you know, when Jesus met that woman, the bleeding woman.
Yeah.
That encounter just dissolved shame. Like,
it's amazing.
Yeah. That, and you just feel, oh my God, normal.
Yeah.
I'm validated. I can breathe. Yeah.
Can breathe. Because it's true that shame does feel like a chokehold or like just a tightness.
But your diaphragm will, and the psoas, the psoas muscle, the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles will tighten. So we can't like, which I've probably just been doing through the whole podcast, because it's like, oh, I can breathe.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That's why they tell you to breathe.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
You don't think about it.
And excitement is different to anxiety, because excitement is, Fritz Perls, the Gestalt therapist, said, excitement is anxiety with the breath. So when you're at a football match or you're at Croke Park and you're cheering for your team and you're so excited and you're full of adrenaline, but you're fully alive and you're fully using your lung capacity. So it's it's that encounter with the other.
It's life-giving.
Yeah.
It's not life-taking, I guess. Yeah.
So get your bros. Get your good bros.
Yes. Be able to talk. I know my husband talks about it being almost easier for guys to talk to each other when they're doing something together.
Yeah, like driving that way. Yeah,
or doing an activity or something together.
Sure. Yeah.
And, you know, like we never want to generalize or make stereotypes, obviously, but, you know, there's a reason why a lot of guys, not just him, say that sometimes the direct eye contact is weird, but for guys, like... doing something together that's tactile is really good. But so I mean, if you guys have specific things that you say, this actually makes me feel better about talking about myself, opening up and being safe, put that in the comments, because we're a bunch of ladies and, you know, there's a lot of things we don't know about guys sometimes, except for Heather, who's genius. But but anyway. Anyways, if you have other things that you want to put there, please comment. Let us know, because we want to learn. We want to know more about what's going on. And if anyone out there has more questions, please pop them below and be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss other things that will be coming up, other topics about shame in the future. But I think the last thing that we wanted to talk about was a few things that you could talk about as far as what if someone's experiencing shame coming at them?
That's awful.
Maybe some things that they could do to help that not really get internalized, I guess.
Yeah,
or take that in.
Because that could be a work situation.
Yeah.
It could be a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a church situation.
Yeah.
It could be the sermon on, on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So look at your life and look at the relationships, and make sure that you're stocked up on relationships that are safe, that are supportive. This might be common, and it could be your boss, it could be your line manager, and get your supports. It could be in work, it could be at home. Get your supports in place.
Yeah.
Get yourself resourced. Because sometimes you'll realise, okay, I'm not the only one. There's other people going on. Make sure.
Totally.
Get safety somewhere in your life. Yeah, it could be a therapist, but it could be just a buddy. It could be a friendship.
Yeah.
It could be. I was going to say over the water cooler, but no one's in work at the moment. So it's
yeah. Or actually, this might air after all this, but yeah.
Yeah, because also the person who is shaming you externally. I mean, that's something. Shame, really kind of psychopathological shame. Phil Molan talks about this. Can come across quite narcissistic, and it's like. I know this term gaslighting is very common at the minute, but it's almost I'm setting you up and I'm going to whittle you down and I'm going to control you and shame you. But that person is so full of shame, but is totally unaware of it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty toxic.
Yeah.
You need lots of support.
Oh yeah. I had such a horrible experience as a student.
Oh my
this
goodness.
is why I always
as a
tell
nurse?
Wow. This is why I always tell nursing and medical students find a therapist the second you enter your educational experience.
Never mind the hospital situation, which is
all the stuff
crazy.
that you can't unsee. All the stuff, the human tragedy that you
you're going to take on. All the trauma. Talk about vicarious trauma.
Yeah, seriously. But, when I was a student, and it's all, thank you, Socrates, because, there's so much shame involved in the Socratic method.
Yeah.
So I had a preceptor who, she was a big fan of the Socratic method. So she would purposefully ask me questions in front of patients that she knew were just a bit too hard for me to answer.
She did this.
Yeah. And I would just try my best to answer just as best I could. And she would then laugh and just say, turn to the patient and say, she's just a student. It's all right. And so here I am actually trying to establish trust with this person. And then she went and broke it down.
Gaslighting the shit out of you.
Seriously. Yeah. And I cried all the way there and all the way back every week. Yeah, but I thought that was a normal experience, or that was okay.
No.
It wasn't until after I told someone at the university, I said, do you know that this preceptor is doing this? And I just kind of woke up and realized this is probably not okay.
No.
She said, you're actually the second student to say that. Mm-hmm. So she was, of course, immediately asked to not do this anymore. But it was actually, I had I found my people. You
gotta find your tribe.
My fellow students, I just moaned to them all the time.
Good.
They were so sympathetic to me.
Yeah.
I felt like I really was able to unpack this a lot.
That's it.
With them, but officially unpack it though with my therapist years later. This is why I'm like,
it still stays in your body.
It stays in.
I know.
It stays in, and it actually affected my practice.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
I mean, second guessing all the time, which isn't bad to be cautious, but
But it's not. It's a crippling effect.
It's very
paralyzing.
It's very paralyzing. It actually affected my studies. It affected my
some
confidence very much. Yeah. So I had other things that I did to help with coping. One of them, I definitely binged a little bit of high calorie food. I was like,
that actually lowers cortisol in your body.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought, but I was like, why can't I fit into my jeans? I had been wearing scrubs, like a hermit, just in and out of the hospital. But I was like, what's wrong? And Yeah, and I also, for the first time in my life, started listening to Christian music, which before that I just thought it was all terrible, and then decided I needed something positive to listen to on the way there, something soothing. So I started listening to that. And yeah, just to try to figure out how to cope with that.
Yeah.
But anyone who is in the medical, nursing, dentistry, psychotherapy, anything training where someone has the potential to call you out and put you lower than them, in that context, find a therapist. Don't stop. Just go right away. Spend your very first paycheck on really good therapy.
Yeah.
what you should
sure.
do. Yeah, that's my advice, because I waited actually years to talk to a therapist about this.
It just stays in your body.
Does.
You know,
yeah.
Those shame states.
Yeah, so for anybody listening, we've been talking about shame, and specifically in men, and then talking about external sources of shame that can come at us, and maybe some ways that we can cope with that. In the future, we're going to be talking about some things that aren't exactly... might not be using the word shame exactly, but we're going to be talking about things associated with our bodies that we wouldn't talk about just in casual conversation, but we just want to know more about, like contraception, vaginal health, breast health, other things like sexual stuff that we can just talk about in a way that is natural, because we need to talk about this. We need to have our questions answered, and we need to be honest about these kinds of things, because there's no part of our bodies or no part of our lives that's untouchable, that's sturdy, that's unclean. It's unclean. That should be put in its own little box. But we're whole people and should treat ourselves as whole people who are worthy and valuable. So be sure to listen to those future episodes, and definitely subscribe, because you want to make sure that you know when those are coming up. But thank you for talking to us today, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we will chat again soon to all you guys out there on the interwebs. Talk to you later.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Unshamed podcast. Join us next time for another topic that we hope empowers you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this with your friends.